I'm not proud of it, but I suppose that I can blame the vodka for what happened that night, though part of me wonders if I was just asking for trouble, inviting chaos into my life the way so many of us do when intimacy blurs into drunken revelry. It was supposed to be a fun night at Barry's, one of those parties designed for just enough alcohol, one more shot to let loose, maybe find a partner who was equally as lost in the haze of easy laughter and wild desires. I got chatting with Lisa, who I always thought was jaw-droppingly beautiful, her long dark hair cascading down her shoulders like an endless waterfall, and when she smiled, it lit something inside me ablaze. We ended up in his cramped little bedroom, fumbling with each other's clothes and kissing passionately, me feeling a rush of adrenaline as her nails grazed my back. It all seemed like the perfect chemistry, warm bodies in the dark, generating heat with every breath. But then, just as we were making our way under the sheets, the mood shifted, the atmosphere flooded with an electrifying, unnerving energy. I couldn't quite place it at first. It felt like an intense, suffocating weight that made my skin go cold despite the stifling warmth surrounding us. I felt dizzy, the vodka hitting me harder, and I needed to focus. I leaned back, about to whisper something sweet to Lisa when I noticed a shadow in the corner of the room, moving unnaturally against the wall. My heart raced. I told myself it was just the flickering light from the old ceiling lamp, but as I squinted, the shadow didn't budge, didn't flicker. My breath quickened when I recognized that it wasn't just a trick of the light. A figure was sitting in the corner, obscured, watching us. I could barely make out a silhouette, long and spindly, too long to be human, and my stomach churned, a rational side of my mind screaming for me to ignore it, to come back to the warmth of Lisa's touch. I tried to pull her closer, to shrug off the fear, but every ounce of strength to ignore the dark presence evaporated when the figure leaned forward, a sound like cracking bones slicing through the thick air, and in a swift, inhuman movement, it lunged towards my side of the bed. Lisa screamed so loudly, it felt like glass shattering around us, and I felt paralyzed, unable to process anything beyond the intense dread that swept over me. The figure stopped inches from my face, grotesquely inhuman, a hollow eye socket scanning the room like it wanted to devour the shadows. That was when I knew this was not a feeling of drunken paranoia, it was something real, and in my gut, the unmistakable sensation of danger screamed at me to run. I turned to grab Lisa's hand, to pull her away, but she was frozen, staring into the figure's emptiness, and I screamed, "We have to go. Now!" It took a few brutal seconds to drag her from the bed, and when we stumbled towards the door, the dark presence melted into the light, blocking our escape. In that moment, the alcohol and ecstasy of the night evaporated, replaced with sheer terror. I was scared stiff, every hair on my body standing on end as the figure opened its mouth wide, revealing jagged, chipped teeth that looked like they could tear flesh with a single bite. I don't even know what possessed me to grab Lisa and push against the closed door, but somehow, I broke through the grip of horror that had entrapped us both. We slammed through the door, fleeing out into the living room filled with drunken partygoers, who were obliviously laughing. But the second we stepped into that light, the shadowy figure melted back into the corner, vanishing like a nightmare. I pulled Lisa away, my heart hammering in my chest, and we found a corner away from the chaos, her wide eyes full of confusion and dread. "Did you see that?" I asked, breathless, but she looked right through me, her face pale, her lips quivering. "What are you talking about?" But the chill that settled into my bones told me it didn't matter if she believed me or not, that thing had followed us, had marked our encounter. And just moments before, I was sure we were both alive, but now? Now I felt the deepening dread, that something terrible lurked beneath the laughter, watching, always watching. The night continued to unravel around me, Barry's party carried on, oblivious to the horror that had taken place in that bedroom, and yet the laughter felt all wrong, jarring, like a mockery of something beautiful turned grotesque. I could feel the dark aura of that figure lurking just behind my shoulder, waiting for the perfect moment to take its hand and draw me back into darkness. I grabbed Lisa's shoulder, both of us feeling the brush of icy danger that made the air thin as if we were surrounded by an invisible force. Every time I thought about going back in for my jacket, I felt the evening air prick my skin with sharp reminders of what we had done. It felt like a mistake, like that simple act of getting freaky had summoned something worse, something that might never leave us. Days turned into nights, and every moment, the shadow waited, whispering my name at the terrible hours of the night when I thought I was safe in my bed, sending shimmering chills throughout my body. I watched as my once joyous world unraveled. The vodka couldn't drown out my thoughts, the laughter of friends became hollow echoes, and every flicker of a shadow made me hyper-aware of the danger that crept closer. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw the gaping maw, those empty sockets piercing straight through me as if it consumed my very essence, and every single night, I kept searching for that reminder of my mortality lost in the fantasy of lust, horrified by what I had unleashed. When I finally came to terms with the haunting reality of what we had brought into this world, I knew that something had shifted within me, and I would never be able to go back to the blissful ignorance I once took for granted. I learned too late that sometimes, when we try to get freaky, we invite some truly terrifying things home with us, and those things, once invited, seldom leave without claiming a piece of us first.